What's up everyone, welcome to today's video. Welcome to the Video Game Fight School channel. Thank you very much for tuning in. And just like that, we have a Star Wars official reveal trailer. This is the trailer for Star Wars Jedi Survivor, a game that I've been looking forward to for the past few years. Yes, the past few years. I remember when Jedi Fallen Order was released in 2019, November. It was such an interesting and refreshing experience. There was so much going on from the 2017 timeframe after Battlefront 2 had gone through this huge drama. EA and DICE, in their own development paradigm, decided that they were going to make this so-called loot box filled video game that was going to have fans grind and potentially have a monetizable system. At the same time, EA closed a studio called Visceral Game Studio that was actually working on a single-player Star Wars experience. Now, as to the progress of that particular Star Wars game, we don't necessarily know. We just know EA made a huge statement saying that they closed down the studio, they were moving a lot of its development assets to another studio being headed by Jade Raymond. She's already left EA now, and they said that they didn't think that single-player games were the experience that players wanted, which was weird because at the same time they were saying this, one of their own studios was actually making a single player Star Wars game, and now that single player Star Wars game has matured to something that has a sequel in the making. This is the fork-tongued nature of EA sometimes, but nonetheless I'm glad that the single player paradigm is actually taking the cake, and those other games are probably going to have their own fan bases, but not necessarily in a place where they have to move ahead without reevaluating how they serve those fan bases. But at the same time, it just seems like this particular Star Wars paradigm with the single player aspect seems to be already sealed down with this particular studio, and that's Respawn. Very respected studio, just happens to be under the banner of EA, but are still a studio that's very well loved by the gaming community at large. Over time, they've been able to get their projects off the ground with Apex Legends. Even the Titanfall games have always quite been phenomenal. I don't necessarily play the Apex Legends game, and I haven't played Titanfall. They're obviously shooters and not necessarily things that I really engage with in terms of video games, but keeping an ear to the ground, you know that everybody can say for sure that the Jedi Fallen Order game was quite a decent game. Not saying it was probably the best game in the whole world, no way. I mean, there are other adventure games that seem to be able to take the cake quite easily, but not necessarily anything in the Star Wars genre in the last few years. And I think that's the key point. The last few years had seen the Star Wars games not necessarily have games that followed through the Force Awakens type storylines and structure, but this game, its sequel, is probably going to be one of those games that continues to set the tone for what Star Wars is going to be. Add this to the fact that Ubisoft Massive, which is one of their studios out in Sweden, is also working on a Star Wars project, and this project is supposedly, according to their description, a story-driven experience that's going to be set in the Star Wars universe. So we hope to see that they follow the same pattern, but Ubisoft Massive has also been quite successful in making some sort of a live service game with the Tom Clancy name, which is The Division, so we don't know if they're probably going to follow that route. I hope they don't. As somebody who played The Division for so many years, it's probably going to be a hit or miss, but I do know one thing about that studio. They know how to make a visually appealing video game. I mean, if the Star Wars game is not the best looking game that comes out, I would think something went wrong, because they have one of the best engines in the market right now. It's called the Snowdrop engine, and they're doing a really good job. But this is not to take away from Respawn. Respawn is using Unreal Engine in their own development. It's not necessarily clear if they're using Unreal Engine 4 or Unreal Engine 5. My guess would be Unreal Engine 4 is their engine of choice, because the development of this game would have started before the full version of Unreal Engine 5 came into play. Now, it's also a possibility that they could port to Unreal Engine 5, but that's a whole conversation for another video. But so far, my thoughts are, this is actually, in my opinion, a good sign. It appears that the ground game in terms of gaming is getting to resurface after all the oversaturation of a bunch of nonsense games that have been pushed by many of these publishers. It seems they're waking up. Let me hear your thoughts about this particular reveal. We'll be diving a little bit more into the details. Hopefully, I'll try my best to keep a close eye on the development, the progress, and any further announcement. And I just wanted to say thank you very much for watching the video. I appreciate you guys so much. Hopefully, we'll talk very soon. Peace out.